Hey everyone, ready to tackle student attendance? Or maybe we should say the lack of attendance.
Yeah, that's probably more accurate.
We're going deep today into this Vevox report. They surveyed 100 students in the US and the UK.
Really gets into some fascinating stuff the pressure students are facing, financially.
And just how much things are changing in the world of learning.
Absolutely.
And get this, they actually break it down by what year the students are in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's where things get kind of interesting. So freshmen, they're all over the place.
Really?
Some have perfect attendance, others are struggling like big time, trying to balance work, getting used to college life.
Yeah, that first year can be a whirlwind.
Right. And maybe having a little too much fun.
Makes you wonder how much those early challenges
Oh, totally.
impact them later on.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so then you got the sophomores, decent attendance overall,
Okay.
but there's a noticeable dip, especially with the UK students. The report says it's because of long commutes and, get this, lack of interest. So do you think that disinterest early on, like sophomore year,
Yeah.
could actually be connected to some of the other reasons students skip class later on? Like
Yeah.
when family stuff comes up or they have to work more?
It's a fascinating thought. Maybe if they're not feeling engaged early on,
Right.
they're just more likely to prioritize those other obligations.
Yeah.
That'd be
That-
interesting to see more research on that connection.
Totally. Okay, so then upperclassmen, generally good attendance, but they're missing class because of family stuff. And
Yeah.
this is interesting. They feel like some classes just aren't necessary, especially if the info's online.
Yeah, it really shows how independent learning is becoming more and more common.
Right.
Students are reevaluating, what's the point of being in a classroom?
Especially when they have so much other stuff going on.
Exactly.
So let's get down to it. Why are students skipping class? Health issues are a top reason, consistently, across the board. And the survey mentions both physical and mental health. I think it's so important that we acknowledge how serious that is.
Oh, absolutely. Students today, they're dealing with a lot of pressure, It's definitely impacting their well-being.
And the fact that they're willing to prioritize their health, even if it means missing a class.
Yeah, that says a lot.
It really does. The survey also highlights self-care
Mm-hmm.
and how we all get burnt out sometimes. It's a good reminder that students are just like everyone else.
Oh.
Okay, but then we see lack of interest popping up again, and it makes me wonder how much of that is about the material itself versus, how it's being taught.
It's the age-old question, isn't it?
Right.
Is it the subject or is it the teacher?
Exactly.
I think when we get to the student suggestions later on,
Okay.
we'll get some really interesting insights into what actually motivates them.
Oh, I can't wait. And then, of course, we have the good old personal commitments. The upperclassmen specifically talked about taking care of family and just, having a lot of different roles to handle. I think it's easy to forget that students aren't just students.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have lives.
And those lives often come with responsibilities.
Right.
You can't always just, put everything on hold.
For sure. And universities need to be flexible and understanding if they want these students to succeed, like in all areas of their lives.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Okay. And we can't forget about work, especially for younger students and some of the post-grads. They're literally working to pay the bills while studying.
Right. Talk about a challenge.
It's a lot. It
Yeah.
really highlights the economic realities
Mm-hmm.
that so many students are dealing with. They're balancing textbooks and paychecks.
Yeah, we need to recognize that and provide support wherever we can.
Absolutely.
It's great that the report doesn't just focus on the problems,
Right.
It actually dives into some solutions.
Oh, that's good.
And what I love is these solutions are coming straight from the students.
That makes
Well-
sense. Go straight to the source.
Exactly. They're the ones in the thick of it.
For sure. So what are they saying?
Well, they're really pushing for a more active learning experience. They want to be engaged
Okay.
and one that connects, what they're learning to their future careers.
So that's smart.
And they're really aware of how busy their lives are, outside of school.
Got it. So let's get specific. What are some of the solutions they came up with?
Interactive classes are huge.
Less lecture, more action, huh?
Exactly. They want to be hands-on. They want to apply what they're learning,
Okay.
do experiments, work together,
So things like flipped classrooms, where they do the reading at home,
Yeah,
and then class time is for discussion.
exactly. And they want to see how what they're learning connects to the real world.
Especially when it comes to their careers.
Right. Imagine a marketing class where they're actually designing real campaigns
Oh, that'd be cool.
instead of just reading about it in a textbook.
Yeah, that would definitely make it more interesting.
And they're all about using technology to make learning better.
Oh, for sure.
You know, things like interactive polls during lectures,
Oh, yeah.
online simulations, even virtual reality,
Wow.
creating a blended environment.
Okay. But it's not all about tech, right?
Right. They also talked about the human element, better teaching quality.
Yeah, and not just, how much the professor knows.
It's more than that. They want instructors who are passionate, engaging.
Invested in their students.
Exactly. We've all had those professors.
Oh, yeah? The ones who, make you fall in love with the subject.
Exactly.
Who push you to think in new ways.
And that's why professional development for instructors is so important.
Yeah, give them the tools to create those amazing learning experiences.
Totally.
Okay, so we've got interactive classes, better teaching. What else?
Flexibility and accessibility are big ones. Students are busy.
Oh, tell me about it.
They've got work, family, commutes. It all adds up.
For sure. So what are they looking for?
More online or hybrid class options? A little more flexibility with attendance policies, maybe even recording lectures so students can watch on their own time.
Makes sense.
It's about acknowledging that students have lives outside of class.
And providing support that reflects that.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is where things get a little controversial.
Oh, yeah.
Some students actually want stricter attendance policies.
Really?
Yeah, even linking it to their grades.
Interesting. What's their reasoning?
They feel like it would create more structure, more accountability,
So everyone's showing up, everyone's engaged?
Exactly. But on the flip side, others totally disagree.
Okay.
They feel like it's a system based on fear.
You're there because you have to be, not because you want to be.
Right, exactly. They think real engagement comes from fostering a love of learning.
Yeah, that intrinsic motivation.
Right, trusting students to manage their own time.
So where do we land on this attendance policy debate?
I don't know, it's tricky.
It's complex.
Both sides have valid points.
Maybe the best approach is somewhere in the middle, finding a balance.
Between structure and flexibility.
Accountability and autonomy.
Right, at the end of the day, it's about creating an environment that supports the whole student.
Exactly.
Recognizes their needs, their responsibilities, how they learn best.
It's about shifting the focus from just showing up to really engaging.
Speaking of engagement, I want to touch on something we mentioned earlier. The students really emphasized how important it is for them to see how their classes connect to their future careers.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
It was a huge motivator for them.
It's a good reminder that education is about more than just, gaining knowledge.
Right.
For a lot of students, it's about getting a job, being prepared for the real world.
Makes sense.
Imagine if every syllabus had a section on career connections.
That'd be cool.
Or if every lecture included real-world examples, case studies,
Guest speakers from different industry?
Exactly. That kind of stuff would really resonate with students.
They'd feel like what they're learning actually has value.
Right. It would give them a sense of purpose.
It would make them feel empowered.
That's what it's all about, creating a learning experience that's meaningful,
Transformative.
one that gives students the skills and the confidence they need to succeed.
So, stepping back a bit, what does all of this tell us about the future of education?
I think it gives us a really interesting look at what today's students are looking for.
Okay, what's that?
They want an experience that's personalized, that's flexible, that's engaging, that understands their needs, their learning styles,
And what they want to do with their lives.
Exactly. They're not content with just passively absorbing information anymore.
They want to be active participants.
They want to apply what they're learning, connect with their instructors, see the big picture.
It's definitely a challenge for educators.
It is, but it's also an opportunity
To rethink things.
to reinvent the learning experience, to create something truly transformative,
That prepares students for life.
not just for exams.
It really makes you think, how do we actually create that kind of learning environment? One that really works for everyone.
Well, I think step one is, we got to listen.
Guidance.
Yeah, listen to what they're saying, understand their needs.
Their goals.
Exactly, and be willing to adapt.
It sounds like a lot of what they're asking for requires a pretty big shift,
It does. We have to change how we think about education.
So how do we do that?
Well, investing in professional development for instructors is key.
Give them the training they need.
The resources, the support to create these amazing learning experiences.
And maybe be more open to, experimenting with new stuff.
New technologies, new teaching methods, yeah.
We have to innovate.
Absolutely. And we can't forget about the community aspect.
Oh, right.
Students need to feel connected
To the material.
to their instructors, to each other.
It all comes back to supporting the whole student.
Yeah, recognizing their individual needs.
Understanding that there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. We need a system that's flexible, adaptable, that celebrates diversity.
So before we wrap up, I have one last question for you, and I think it's one that everyone listening should ask themselves.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Think about your own work or your learning environment. Does it reflect these things that students are talking about?
Engagement, relevance, that connection to the big picture.
Exactly. What could be improved?
That's a great question, and it applies to all of us.
Whether we're educators, students, or just lifelong learners.
It's a challenge, creating a world where learning is exciting.
Where it's not a chore.
Right, where it's a journey of discovery.
Well, there you have it. A deep dive into student attendance.
We covered a lot of
We
ground.
talked about why students skip, what motivates them to show up,
And some really innovative ideas for making education better.
more engaging, more effective.
And hopefully we've given you some things to think about, some new perspectives.
Because this isn't just about students in classrooms.
It's about creating a culture where learning is valued.
In every aspect of our lives.